Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to a pretty special video. For the first time ever, I've managed to get all of the motion simulation family of simulators in the same room at the same time. Now, hopefully you've tuned into one of the videos I've done with motion simulation so far, especially around my home rig, my LC series that I've got at home, and I must say I'm absolutely loving it. It's very addictive, if I'm honest, and everybody that comes to the house, the first thing they say is, "Can I have a go on the sim, please?" But the last video I shot with that, we talked about the family of the LC series, and it was quite confusing and quite difficult. The other thing is the sim rig I've got at home was a pre-production version, and they're now at full production levels. So I've come here to the headquarters of motion simulation today to have a look at the whole LC series and hopefully demystify that a little bit for you. But also behind me is the latest member of the motion simulation family. This is a TL3. I drove that last year when I was at Veloce, but there's now an entry-level TL sim, and it's pretty special. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the whole motion simulation family. So I'm going to start off sat in the full turnkey solution, which looks very similar to the rig I have at home. It's a slightly different color, but my rig is a pre-production unit. This is now the full production LC series, and it is a brilliant bit of kit. I've spent a lot of time sat in mine at home. It's very addictive, but when I did the video last year and talked through the different options of home simulators, I got quite a lot of questions, and I think it was quite confusing about exactly what the LC series was and how it worked. So what we've done is we've got right the way from the very entry-level product all the way up to what I've got at home, and I thought it'd be quite interesting to kind of talk through those. So imagine maybe you've got a games console or a PC and you're using that for driving games, you're using a hand controller and a TV, but you want that next level of realism and immersion. And you want something to sit in and make it feel like you're actually driving a car. Well, that's where this comes in. So this is the entry-level LC. First things first, it's primarily a chassis, a metal chassis, and a seat. You don't have to buy the seat, you could source your own seat, and there's fixings on there to attach it, but most customers tend to buy this as one piece. The really interesting thing though, there's a lot of trickle-down technology in this from the top-end motion simulation sim, the TL3. It's got the 4 variable driving positions, which is still class leading, and that means that you can change the seat depending on whether you're in a formula car all the way through to something like a touring car. You can also move the height of the steering wheel up and down. On this one, you've got basic little screws here and adjustments to move it up and down. And then you'd attach your own pedals and your own steering wheel, and off you go racing. And for this, entry level is just under £1,400, but you've got to take on board any taxes and shipping depending on where you are in the world. So imagine though that you didn't really know what your options were for steering wheel and pedals, you just wanted to get into it without having to spend lots of time Googling. Well, that's when this comes in play. So what we've got here is exactly the same chassis and seat, but now you get provided an entry-level steering wheel and pedal box set. Now, the price is going to go up. This is just shy of £1,800, but you then have to provide your own PC or games console and TV. But you've got exactly the same amount of adjustment as you have in this. You're just able to go racing much more quickly. Now, the more you get into your racing, the more you use the sim, you might want to get the steering wheel feel to be more and more realistic, a better feel on the pedals, and you can start to spend an awful lot of money on these things. You know, from a couple of £100, you could easily spend several £1,000s just on the steering wheel alone. So what we've done here is you may well kind of start off with just the bare frame, and then you start to upgrade as you get better, as your budget, you want to spend a bit more money. And what we've done here is just equip this particular LC with a direct drive force feedback steering wheel, around about £1,000 worth. The pedal box set on this is around about £500. You've got the frame for the TV stand, and then this is actually running off of an Xbox. This is running Forza Horizon, and I've already had a play on this today, and it's absolutely brilliant. So this is just to show how you can evolve the LC frame to whatever equipment you're using, whether that's a games console or a PC, and as you improve and you want different feedback or you want a different feel to the driving, you can start to knock yourself out and spend lots and lots of money on different types of steering wheel and brake systems. The thing I like about motion simulation is aesthetically, I'm an engineer at heart, and I like the fact that it looks nice aesthetically, that all the cables are internally routed. It's a little bit like my Bianchi Ultra XR4 bike, all the cables are routed nice, it looks neat, and that's not necessarily the case when you look at some of the market leaders.
While some competitors are improving their features, I just don't see them having the development history or design and manufacturing innovation of motion simulation. In my experience, motion simulation provide the best designed, most flexible, quality simulators in the market today.
The difference though on this one, this is now much more like my sim at home, because the adjustment for the steering wheel height is now these two little levers here, and you've got a really nice, quick adjustment. My experience from home is if you're just the only person using the sim, then something like this is fine. You can adjust it relatively quickly, 30 seconds or so. But what I find when people come round to the house and you end up with like 3 or 4 people in the office all wanting to have a go, and you're swapping between drivers, it's really nice on this system just to quickly adjust things very, very quickly and get people into a comfy driving position. So finally then, if we go through to what I've got at home, so this is now the turnkey solution, the high-end LC sim, everything provided by motion simulation. The obvious thing to see is you've now got this cowling and dashboard with a digital display showing things like your lap time delta and change-up lights, a high-end direct drive force feedback steering wheel. This can provide something like 35 Newton meters of feedback, and believe me, that's quite something, especially if you have it turned up to the max. So much so you even have an emergency cutoff button integrated into the dashboard. And this system now we're talking around about £10,000, which I know sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but actually when you compare this solution with other solutions in the marketplace, this actually is really good value for money. Now, the difference with these ones, you can get these effectively flat pack and you build them yourselves and you add the steering wheel and all of those things yourself. With this is assembled by the guys here at Motion Simulation. They'll make sure everything's working correctly, they'll install the software, they'll debug everything, and at a nominal fee they'll even come to your house and install it for you, and that's what they did for me, and believe me, that service is worth every penny, because they just rock up, put everything together, make sure it's working, get the software working, and then you can just concentrate on your driving. So yeah, that's what I've got at home. Now the really cool thing later this year is there's some really exciting extras that you can have added to this, and that includes full motion actuation. So as you're driving, the whole rig will move to give you an even more immersive driving feel. So stay tuned, because we'll be hopefully adding that to my sim a little bit later in the year. So that is the LC series, but the really cool thing I want to show you is just over here, and that is the latest member of the TL family. Now, before we get on and start talking about the TL3, I think it's worth noting one of the reasons I was so keen to start working with motion simulation is that all of this kit is designed and manufactured in the UK. So the LC series that we've just been looking at, the steel frames are all manufactured here and powder coated. That new seat, I'm quite jealous of that new seat. That is the latest seat. It's all hand stitched and manufactured here in the UK. But let's just talk about this. So my very first driving simulator experience was in one of these, a TL3 at Veloce Esports. If you've not seen that video already, I'll put a card above right now. But it's difficult to convey to you just how immersive driving in one of these is. The 200-degree wraparound screen makes you feel like you're in the car. The feedback through the steering wheel, the realistic feel of the pedals, the full motion actuation moves you around, and then when you put your foot on the brakes, the seatbelt pulls you back into the seat. It's an incredible experience. But this, we're talking about £50,000 worth of gear, and I know that sounds like a lot of money, but when you compare it to other products out on the market, that is incredible value for money. But there's still a big gap between the system I've got at home at £10,000 and this at £50,000. So the latest member of the motion simulation family fills that gap. It's called the TL3 Light, and I've got one just behind me. And here it is. Now, although it looks very similar to the full-blown TL3, in fact it shares a lot of the same features. It's still got the same 200-degree wraparound screen. It's got the full motion actuation on the seat. I've got the variable position cockpit, force feedback steering wheel. The big difference is the specification of some of the components used in this are less than the TL3, and that brings the price point down. So this is now just shy of £30,000, but should give a similar immersive driving experience. Now, before I jump in and experience it for myself, I'm going to put all the details of motion simulation in the description of this video. Head over to their website and take a look. Everything we've talked about today will be on there, plenty more information on there. There's competitive analysis and more details on pricing and so on. So head over there and knock yourself out, and you never know, maybe you could start to become as hooked on home driving as I am. I'm going to jump in this TL3 Light and see what it's like. Oh, it's good to be back in a full seat actuation, wraparound screen. The immersion this thing gives is just on another level. Cold tyres, let's get the car warmed up. You really do just get in the zone when you're driving in one of these things. The difference between this and the rig I've got at home, the main thing is the screen. You've got your whole vision taken up by the car and the circuit, and then, oh, look at that. And then the seat's moving as I change gear, I get thumped in the back. And this circuit, see, I'm asking for another gear there, I'm in the top already. Oh, it's a brave corner, that one. Well, it's safe to say that this TL3 Light is every bit as immersive as its bigger brother. I might be having to have a chat with the guys at Motion Simulation to get one of these at home. Oh, running out of talent. Anyway, guys, I think at this point I'm going to stay and concentrate on not killing myself. But I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you on the next film. You take care, guys. Drive safe, unlike me. And I'll see you on the next film.